This is Open Door with Vince Robinson. In-depth conversations with people who are making a difference in the lives of others here and around the world. Culture is at the heart of who you are. Know your culture, find yourself on Open Door with Vince Robinson.
Grand dawning, great rising, Cleveland, Ohio, and the rest of the planet. Welcome to another edition of Open Door with Vince Robinson. I have a special guest with me today. His name is Be Free. He's also known as Alonzo Burnett. I saw that on his flyer, so I don't know that he's completely given up the Jake name, but he is known as Be Free. He's also a member of the group Invisible Tongues, and a few weeks ago, we brought to you a magnificent song called Star People. It's a song now that is in my mental registry, because sometimes I just find myself in the middle of something and all of a sudden that tune pops into my head. I love that song, and I am appreciative to Be Free for having a part in it. So welcome to Open Door. Be Free.
Yes, good afternoon, sir. It's always a pleasure to be here and talk with you and the audience.
Okay, well, we're glad to have you, and we want to jump into things. You are a person who has been in Cleveland for a while, so you want to tell us about your trajectory here in Cleveland. What was the genesis of everything, and what has your life been like here in C-Town, so to speak?
Well, I love Cleveland. People talk about Cleveland, but they don't talk about it like they used to. We got all 4 seasons of the year, which I enjoy all 4. I prefer summer over the winter, naturally. But been here and touched with a circle with a few people, a few different situations with drumming and doing Tai Chi and going down the massage road and working with the Carnegie Wilson Project, which actually is the Carnegie Wilson Committee, pardon me, and doing that for the last 15 years. And with the Carnegie Wilson Committee, we are the only organization or group that put on an African-American parade in downtown Cleveland over the last 15 years. We did 7 parades. Did not do one this year. We decided to give a few lectures and give a comedy show and give an African ball that's coming up on the 25th of this month, the African ball.
Okay. It's interesting. On another radio program, I interviewed Dr. Craig Woodson, who is with the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. And we talked extensively about how that organization was created by Carnegie Woodson. Folks may not know of Dr. Woodson, but actually his father was an owner of Africans. He, I think, if my memory serves me correctly, he was actually involved in the purchase of enslaved Africans, the very first group. So, he shared with us that, when he learned about this, it really affected him a certain kind of way. And when you look at the trajectory that his life took, you can see that he has been intimately connected with the history of African Americans and the music as well. He's an ethnomusicologist. So it's interesting to know that you have a connection with that organization, and that organization has done a lot locally to advance the idea of the importance of our history and our connection to it. So kudos to you for being involved in that organization. And looking back at some of the things that have happened as a result, we've had so many Afrocentric scholars visit Cleveland. And if it were not for those efforts, if it were not for your efforts, there would be a vacuum in terms of our connection to all of those great folks who bring us knowledge and wisdom. Talk about your connection with the whole idea of African American history and culture.
Well, African American history and culture, I guess you can say, kind of started with me when I went to Kent State for a few years, and I kind of woke up when I went there. And then I been drumming in the Culture Center for about 30 years or so. My teacher was Baba David Coleman, who's made his transition, and did a few shows. So I'll say over 500 shows actually. I want to plug Akil Marshall, his group Dance Africa Dance. Did numerous shows with him in schools and colleges, and you can almost name any place we've been. We did a lot of different shows, hotels, sororities, fraternities, and you can't function without rhythm. You can't function without a drum. People might not know it, but you got your own natural drum, which is your heartbeat or your pulse inside yourself. So I enjoy drumming. It also, when you drum, it cleanses you. Plus, you get blessings from drumming, and you invoke the ancestors once you touch or play the drum.
Mm-hmm. So when you look back at the events that you've been involved in, are there any of those events that stand out for you? Any scholars that left a really strong impression on you?
Well, my teacher, Baba David Coleman, he taught me so much, and we played with so much compassion and passion and thoroughness. I played a concert with Jaja Diallo. He's a world-renowned drummer down in Oberlin. That stood out for me because that happened to be on one of my anniversaries for my wife. Been with her for 35 years. I think it was like on our 15th or 20th anniversary. It just so happened that I went down there to be in a drum circle, and I was the only Doon Samba Kinkini player. Everybody else was playing djembe. So Jaja Diallo, he loved me so much, he invited me to come and perform with him that night. So, of course, I was surprised, but, my wife let me come, and he even announced that I was there, and he thanked me for being there because that was my wedding anniversary. So that one stands out right now as we talk.
Okay. Talk about that drum. You mentioned it by name, and it was different from the djembes that everyone was playing. Talk to us about the drum that you were playing.
Well, the actual drum then, I was only playing one drum at the time. It was called a doon. It's like the bass drum that you hear in all our hip-hop, for instance, right now. That's what's going around the world now, hip-hop. And it's that doon, that bass sound, which a lot of us can feel, and it touches us on a internal level that we may not really be able to understand, but we love it. That's why hip-hop is so prevalent today. But now I've moved on to playing different drums. It's called Doon, Samba, and Kinkini. It's like the bass tone and I guess you would say alto. They got three different distinct sounds, and you could do more actually with the drum. When I first started, I was playing a 55-gallon drum that had skins from a deer around it with a cowbell, which my instructor or my first teacher, Baba David Coleman, made, and we put it together. So really enjoy doing the drumming. Another performance that really stands out is when I had the honor of playing the Unity Day program down in Cleveland. This was about 20 years ago. This was Mike White was the mayor. I told you how long ago this was. And I just happened to remember that the way things went, I did a one-person show. Of course, I wasn't planning on doing that, but I had to rise to the occasion, and it worked out fine. It really did. I only had to do 10 minutes. Look, I was praying the whole time that I was performing, but the ancestors walked with me and carried me through. So that was a Unity Day with the city of Cleveland during Mike White's reign as mayor here.
Yes. Well, as you were talking about that drum, the drum that you play and what you did, I'm just reflecting on the interview that I did with Dr. Woodson, and he was talking about the role of the drum and how you could actually speak different languages with a drum. That's one of the reasons that they took drums away from us when you look at the history of America, just because it had the ability to communicate on the level that it did. So it's really the foundation of music. I think drum was like number one. So I don't take it lightly that you're a drummer. I think that there's something extremely profound about having that tool in your tool belt, so to speak. So when I asked the question, I was kind of interested in knowing who of the scholars that have come to Cleveland has impressed you the most that you've been able to witness?
Dr. Charles Finch. He came in about 20, 30 years. I got a chance to see Dr. John Henry Clark down in Cleveland State also. Dr. Ben, your canon always has his name about people just go by Dr. Ben. Got a chance to see these people. I saw some real heavy scholars this weekend that we brought in. Brother Timothy Moore and Dr.
James Brown.
Yes, Dr. James Brown, who's located here locally in Cleveland. And the other brother that came on Saturday.
Asar Imhotep.
Asar Imhotep, thank you very much, sir. I was so immersed in all the information going through my head right now that we got. It was like a serious crash course of information about us and ancient Egypt and how it's connected to us and how what's going on globally right now with the elite and what they're actually doing, to take people off the planet any way they can.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I really enjoyed working with, listening to those scholars just recently.
Don't want to go too deep down the rabbit hole, but when you talked about what the global elites are doing, that was a message that was brought to us by Dr. Moore. I wasn't able to stay for the entire presentation, and I caught some of the things that he talked about, including the effects of radiation, and he also talked about the chemicals that are in our environment that get distributed in the sky and are known as chemtrails. Folks want to call it conspiracy theory, but, we are finding out more and more day after day how so many of these conspiracy theories they're just bearing out to be not theory, but fact. So were there any things that you could share with us that he shared with us yesterday that might be important for folks to know?
Well, one of the things that people of melanin hue is that we're the dominant people on the planet right now, whether it's projected as that or not. And it has nothing to do with me being racist or prejudiced or anything like that. These are just facts that was presented to me. That the facts came out in 2006. So the information we're talking about now is 2023. That's 17 years. And they were talking about it then, what's going on now. And throughout the European area, from Spanish, Italian, Germans, Portuguese, they're not producing as much as the melanated people. So they're functioning from a premise of survival. And we're not talking about the planet has too many people, but the people that are scarce on the planet are talking about there are too many people on the planet. So you have to consider your reference points all the time when you get your information at the time we're living in, because there's so much misinformation. So there's nothing wrong with double checking and cross-referencing your information to make sure that it is valid.
Yes, and I think what you're referring to is the information that was shared with us by Dr. Qua David Whitaker, and he showed us a video that indicated that the birth rate had declined significantly for the European countries, and as a result, they're not going to be able to replace their population, but what it is being replaced with now, and you're seeing increasing numbers, is Muslims all over Europe. So he showed you numbers. And again, this came from 2006, 2005, 2006. They were talking about how many Muslims are being born and how at some point they're just going to be a significant part of the population of all those European countries. So we're seeing a paradigm shift. And I think he also talked about the impact it would have on America, in that those who have been considered the majority for so long will no longer be the majority. And this is going to happen sooner than 2050, as many folks had projected. Really, really great conversation, Brother Be Free. We're going to step away for just a few moments and we'll come back and we'll talk about some of the things that you are involved in outside of the cultural piece, because you are involved in things of a healing nature, I'll put it that way, doing things that relate to Tai Chi And I'm sure you probably have a little yoga in your repertoire too. It's difficult to do Tai Chi and not know about yoga, since everything is breath centric, so to speak. So we'll be back in just a few moments. This is Open Door with Vince Robinson. My guest is Brother Be Free. He's a member of the group Invisible Tongues, and he's doing quite a few other things that you might be able to take advantage of. We'll get more on that when we get back. This is 95.9 FM WOVU, Burton Belcar Community Radio. Back in a minute.
Hi, this is Gerard Amir Shakir, and you're listening to 95.9 FM. Our Voices United, Burton Belcar Community Radio.
Welcome back to Open Door with Vince Robinson and my guest, Be Free, and he just told me that he's going to explain where his name came from. So let's get to that, and then we'll get to more on the life of this great individual. Tell us about your name.
Thank you. So my name, when I was born, Alonzo Charles Free Burnett. So what happened is I meditate every day, and about 8 months ago in my meditation, the Creator told me to take the B out of Burnett, put it in front of Free, and so Be Free. That's how I became Be Free. So I didn't change anything about how I came on the planet. All I did was, as they say, upgrade or update my information.
Yes.
That's how Be Free came into existence.
Yes. Well, you are living proof of Kujichagulia, self-determination. I'm getting a call right now, which is what happens when you use your phone to record interviews. So I'm responding to a person, and we'll continue our conversation. So Be Free is a very powerful name, because when you look at what America is a country of folks who are enslaved and don't know. And what we have is a system that has been used over the years to control populations, and that system is finance. So when you think about wages, for instance, and you look at the minimum wage that we have right now, and I think in Ohio it might still be $7.25, right? But if you look at history and you see that we have this thing called inflation, and they've said that inflation has been 2%. They've had a target of 2% inflation, and when they keep inflation at 2%, they say that there's stability in our economy. But right now, we have inflation that they're telling us is like 6, 7, 8%, when in actuality, because it's not measured properly, it's much higher than that. So I'm saying all that to say that people have been controlled by wages, by salary, by what they are. And when I say they, I'm saying companies and corporations that employ people and have them trading their time for money, what they're willing to pay them. And they keep those things low. So I know it's a little bit off track, but I just want to illuminate the whole idea that freedom in our country is an illusion unless you have an awareness of what it takes to be free. So with you having this name, Be Free, I'm certain that you have an awareness of what it means to be free.
Oh, yes. Right now, the best way you can acknowledge yourself as even being free is mentally. Because, we know, you and I know that we're still enslaved. Like the one scholar said, we need a permit to leave America, which is our passport. So it's like papers when we were slaves. You had to go from place to place, and you had to have paperwork to say that you can leave. So you got to get a passport, got to pay for a passport, and you got to get acknowledged by wherever you're going that the passport is even real, because they might give you some problems with that in the time we're living in. So you just got to be aware. Awareness is the key. And a lot of us are asleep mentally. That's why one of the greatest books I read was Breaking the Psychological Chains, by Dr. Naim Akbar.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're going through right now, psychological change. People get killed over just words right now, which these words actually are not ours. How about that?
Right. Right. Which speaks to the necessity for us to define ourselves, because we have been redefined through language. When we are Africans and we live authentically as Africans, and we have a culture that relates to us that allows us to define ourselves, then we can, for instance, name ourselves based on what day we were born. So I was born on a Thursday. So in the Akan tradition, my name is Yao. And everybody born on a Thursday has certain characteristics. There are similarities in us because of the day that we were born. So when we embrace these things, it becomes a source of power, but then what we do is we make up names,
Yes.
like someone, and I apologize if I'm stepping on somebody's toes, but the name LaQuisha, for instance, or Bonquisha, there are folks out there named Bonquisha. I'll never forget being in a restaurant in Detroit. It was called, I think it was called Fish Bones. That was during my catfish eating days. But the waitress came to the table, and I looked at her name tag, and it said Nitray. And she spelled it Kneetray, Nitray. Now, I don't know if there's such a thing as a knee tray. I mean, have you ever seen or heard of a knee tray? I don't know.
I never have, but I don't even think it's in the health line of work. Or maybe trying to eat your meal at watching TV.
I don't
go there.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's just a weird thing to have a name like that. So to have a name like Asantewa, or to have a name like Hatshepsut, when you have those names, you have a name that gives you a certain level of power just based on the name. And this is what we have missed out as a people because we have allowed others to define us. We're living in a time where we don't even know how to identify ourselves. We have these arguments over, well, no, I'm a Moor, or no, I'm African American, or no, I'm black, or no, I'm not black. Everything that could possibly divide us is on the table, and
yes.
we're in the dark, But we have other folks, and I'm not picking on anyone else, but. If you're Italian, you're Italian.
Right.
And if you're Italian and you live in America, then you're an Italian American. And you have no qualms about identifying as such. But then when it comes to us, we're confused about it. I remember our good friend and brother, Dr. Renoko Rashidi, and his thing was, look, we just all Africans,
Yep.
But then you'll have some folks who say, well, no, Africa was given to us by the Europeans, and we're actually from Alkebulan, so we can get mired in dogma and philosophical differences. But what is most important, I think, and this is just me going off on a tangent, but I think the most important thing for us to know is why we're here.
That's right.
And live in our purpose.
Right.
And not be, so hung up on labels, but more so to deal with, who we are and what we're supposed to be doing. Because as humankind, we are in a position to serve each other with the talents and skills that we've been given. So just thinking of that, you have quite an arsenal in terms of your toolbox. You're doing quite a few different things. So let's start with Tai Chi. What brought you to Tai Chi?
Like most things, females always brings things to people, whether we like it or not, whether we admit it or not. But a lady by the name of Aisha Bay, she taught me Tai Chi actually, and she told me about a fella. I forget his name. He was my first actual male teacher, or at the church over there on 214 in Utah. I can't think of the name of it right now, but he taught me my first form of Tai Chi was Tai Chi Chuan, and I worked with him for a couple of years, and that's been about 30 years ago, and I've had numerous teachers since then. And since we're talking about teachers, one of my greatest teachers who I have the honor to work with now is Grandmaster Greg Mail. And he lets me teach down here on 8311 Superior Avenue. And that's where I get my instruction from also. I want to plug him because it's called the Northern Wind. And you can come down there and just work out if you want to. You don't have to do martial science because he teaches martial science. But if you want to be involved in just getting yourself together spiritually, mentally, and physically, it's one place you can come to. And again, it's called the Northern Wind Martial Science Center, 8311 Superior Avenue. We're open 7 days a week, and at your convenience. So Tai Chi is such a wonderful aspect of the martial science. It's a soft, gentle martial science, but it's very lethal. And it also has the yin and the yang, because Tai Chi does have the yin and the yang in it. You just have to be in tune to when to use what, when, and how. So Tai Chi is great for relaxing, keeping yourself calm, staying in tune to yourself and your breath. Because the breath is so important. Of course, everyone knows that without breath, nothing sustains as far as human beings are concerned. And if you can control your breath, which I teach soft breathing, people might call it shallow breathing. I don't go get into all the labels, potato. I just know different ways to do different things. And if I describe it to you and you do what I say, you'll transform yourself into something greater than what you were.
Grandmaster Greg Mayo, who I've had the honor of interviewing. And first of all, I had no idea that he is the age that he is. You know, he's like someone who doesn't age at all. But I was just so impressed with his skills. I mean, this brother, he's been hired as protection. I'm not going to call him a bodyguard. I'm going to say hired him as protection for folks like Halle Berry and others. I mean, I think he told me that she actually called him and requested his services, and she was over on the other side of the country. But she, believes in him to the extent that she does, that, that she would reach out to him. But he is a master of martial art. And so we talked about martial arts. We talked about Tai Chi. And I've come to understand that Tai Chi is a defensive type of a martial art, and that what you're doing is you're kind of you're redistributing the energy that someone comes towards you with, deflecting them so that it doesn't injure you. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, that's a good way of us talking about it. Tai Chi uses a lot of circles compared to other martial sciences. They're not against anything that protects you and helps you control someone from hurting you. But Tai Chi uses a lot of circles that use your energy against yourself, actually. So if you have to be in tune to yourself, as myself. So if you know yourself and in tune to yourself, then you can be in tune to someone else. Because once you have some kind of altercation with someone, instead of you having 2 hands or 2 arms or 2 legs, you have 4 arms and 4 legs. And people don't think about stuff like that. Because then what you do, if you know the anatomy of yourself and you know the anatomy of another person, you can just use it against themselves. And most people, they don't know nothing about nothing.
Yes. Well, it's interesting. I did attend a few classes, maybe, I don't know, it could have been like 20, 25 years ago. Sure. But I remember that the movement was slow and fluid, but it's still a workout. I mean, I'm not one that sweats easily, but I'm doing Tai Chi, and I'm not going to say I was sweating like a pig, because I ain't a pig. but I had sweat rolling down my back, and I'm like, dang, why am I sweating? There must be something about this.
Well, if I could interject here, Tai Chi, a lot of times, and yoga is related, like you said earlier. When you turn from side to side, you're actually massaging your internal organs. So if you're massaging yourself, and if you rub your hands together, you're creating heat. So you're creating heat once you move from side to side or from the positions that you're moving in. And then a lot of things we do, our arms are up, and then your mind got to tell your arms to stay up. But if after you keep them up for so long, then gravity already is in effect. It's going to start, your arms are going to start trembling, so you can put them down. So actually, Tai Chi, you could be doing 2, 3, 4 things at the same time. That's why it's so good for mental. It's good for your mental makeup. That's why it's sweeping the nation right now as far as Tai Chi. But it's been in existence over 5,000 years.
Yes.
And of course, people don't want to hear this, but it came from us. You know,
Like most things.
I'm not going to argue that point. You can look it up for yourself.
Yeah. We're going to talk about that because there are some other things that came out of the civilization of Kemet that it doesn't get credit for, and we're going to go down that rabbit hole when we get back. This is Open Door with Vince Robinson and my guest, Be Free, born as Alonzo, right?
Charles Free Burnett.
Alonzo Charles B. Burnett, now Burnett, now Be Free. Back with more Be Free after this. 95.9 FM WOVU.
Hi, this is Helen Maynard, news editor at Signal Cleveland, and you're listening to 95.9 FM WOVU, Burton Bell Carr Community Radio.
Welcome back to Open Door with Vince Robinson. We are with Be Free, who just told us that he is related to World Be Free, and you know, that was back in the day when I would actually go to Cavaliers basketball games. You know, and during his time here in Cleveland, he really kind of lit things up because he was a prolific scorer. You know, Be Free, he was definitely the stuff, so to speak.
Right, exactly. And one was, that's where and one come from, where you go to the hole and drop them off and get 2 points, go to the line and make a bucket. Way before the 3-pointer even came into existence, he was averaging 30-some points a game.
And that's amazing. But speaking of that, we were just having a conversation about Tai Chi, and we talked about it as being something that involves self-defense and also different movements that, you know, bring benefit to the body. I'm just curious, do you know much about Qigong?
Yeah, I teach Qigong sometimes in my classes. I teach right now up at the Willowwick Community Center on Tuesday mornings, tomorrow at 10:15, from 10:15 to 11:15. And I do teach some Qigong. It's all energy, just like yoga and just like Tai Chi. It's all distributing your energy, transforming yourself from basically a human being to something higher, whatever you want to call yourself, but you just actually lift yourself up. And actually with your breathing, people can actually levitate. It's not a joke. It's just about being aware and how to breathe properly. Since we're talking about Qigong and Tai Chi, I do want to mention that I do massage. It's also something else connected to the health field that I'm involved in. And that's just part of one of the modalities or one of the activities that helps you stay balanced. And that's what's wrong with a lot of people today. We're simply imbalanced. People don't know that we're all spirit, mind, body, and emotions. A lot of people, the emotional makeup is just, well, I'll say, like they say IQ, I'll say EQ. What's your emotional quotient? Most people's EQ is about the size of their shoe. And it really is, because we act like, I call them adult babies or adult kindergartners. You know, they're whining, I want this, I want. That's where complaining comes from. You know, you whine about what you want and what you need, but most things, if you think about it, you got most things if you what you need, but your wants will never be fulfilled, never. So I want to plug the place that I'm working at. It's called Strands Salon, strand like a strand of hair. We're located in Aurora, Ohio, 242 East Garfield Road in Aurora, Ohio. And I'm out there doing massage with a lady named Winona Strands and her company out there. So she does hair, and we also have someone that does pedicures and manicures. But I do want to plug her again. It's called Strands Salon at 242 East Garfield Road in Aurora, Ohio. And I'd like for you to, and I haven't put my number out here, but I'm going to give you the number to contact me at anything that I do. And the phone number is 216-272-1190. Again, it's 216-272-1190. And I know we'll probably come to this at the end of the program, but I want to plug it now that the Carnegie Woodson Project, we're doing our thing on the 25th of June, the African Ball. You can come down to 8311 Superior Avenue to the Martial Science Center with Grandmaster Greg Mayo. And then you can also get in touch with me at Strands Salon in Aurora, Ohio, 242 East Garfield in Aurora, Ohio. And we got a grand opening, not a grand opening, but a customer appreciation coming up. So if you'd like to come out there and be part of that, again, give me a call at 216-272-1190.
Okay. So you mentioned that you're doing massage. I have to ask the obvious question about the benefits of massage because, we probably don't do it as often as we should, but there are some things that can happen of a positive nature if you do massage on a regular basis. So could you talk about that?
Sure, absolutely. Most people that are so-called actors or icons or athletes or entertainers, they get massages daily. And usually it's a relaxation massage, which pushes, or Swedish massage, which pushes the blood back up toward the heart. I'm familiar with that. I'm familiar with sports massage. I'm familiar with a thing called the Cates methods, which I can massage or push certain parts of your body and stretch you on the table, and it's not a massage at all. It actually stretches your muscles for an hour, and that's a workout too. And I want to say massage actually is a passive workout because most people don't really realize that and know that, but you should actually drink a whole lot of more water after you get a massage. The benefits of massage, especially a Swedish massage, is it pushes the blood back up towards your heart, cleanses your blood, cleanses your whole body, and rejuvenates and revitalizes you. It actually wakes you up. I have many people go to sleep while I give them a massage. So it's a relaxing technique that I know, and people don't relax enough in the time we're living in. It's just, again, it's just part of something that helps us stay balanced in this jet-set world we live in.
That's interesting. I had never heard that before. Now, that's really one of the benefits of doing a show like that. It just gives me an opportunity to learn. So you just told me that a massage is a passive workout. Now,
yes.
People are going to hear that and say, oh, okay, so you mean to tell me I can work out and I don't have to do anything and somebody else does all the work? I like that.
I'm glad you put it that way because I hope somebody call me and say that. That'd be a great thing also to work with. But also another part of the massage is you're actually exchanging energy. So I'm absorbing you and you're absorbing me. That's another thing that people actually do not realize. Once you touch someone, if it's just shaking their hand, you're exchanging energy. And everybody learning more and more and more about it's about energy. That's why good energy and bad energy or whatever. Well, your energy can be up, down, good, bad, left, right. But if you want to stay positive, your energy can be positive. So it's about energy. Well, where your mind is, where your mind and your heart is.
Yes.
Where your mind goes, that's where your energy goes.
That's interesting because there are some schools of thought that kind of push against touching other folks. In our culture, it's customary to walk up to someone and shake their hand. And when you shake their hand, then you're exchanging energy. But then you look at a culture like Japanese culture, they wouldn't shake hands. They would just bow to each other. So there are some negative implications and some positive implications. I mean, when somebody touches you, every cell in your body remembers that touch.
That's right.
So that's part of the reason why, I don't want to go pejorative, but, there are some people that you just don't want to mess with because they're going to give you negative energy and it may stay with you for a while. I mean, just think about, someone that you used to be acquainted with and, y'all fell out. There's going to be a retention of memory related to that energy that person brought to you. But I want to shift gears and talk about the benefit of touch as you just explained. I was just thinking that how beneficial it would be for two people who are intimate to have that contact with each other, to massage each other. So you don't necessarily have to go to a masseuse or a masseur, but this is just something that you could do for your partner and have such a great benefit to them because you're working them out, they're working you out.
Yes, that's a great way to go into that. It also will bring you closer together. Okay. You can also do different breathing techniques that'll bring you closer together. But touching each other, and then a lot of people think that we're on a cycle. We're going to go a little bit deep here. A lot of people think we're on a cycle to so-called have sexual relationships at night, but it's totally wrong. We should have sexual relationships in the morning, because if you have a person that you're having sexual relationship with, like your wife or your significant other, that energy, as you mentioned earlier, will stay on you throughout the body, throughout the day, pardon me. And that will protect your body and help like you might be an attractive person, male or female, and it will help warn off unwanted, we call it play in our but unwanted, what do they call it? Flirting.
Mm-hmm.
The flirts, so that could protect you. So that's another thing. We're so turned around in the society we live in that there's a lot of confusion. Michael Jackson, one of the greatest, I call him a prophet, he said confusion contradicts itself. That simply means that something is confusing to you, and then all of a sudden you find out that it's true, and then you're going through yourself in conflict back and forth. Well, is it true? Isn't it true? Isn't it true? Isn't it true? And then you have to be still. That's another thing. Be still. Like I said, go out and hug a tree. That sounds so. Go out and hug a tree. Relate to the tree. Relate to nature. We live in such a concrete, we call it a concrete jungle. But go hug a tree. And now it's summertime in the Cleveland area pretty much. Go outside. Breathe the fresh air. Be around nature. It'll change your whole world.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because when someone is characterized as a tree hugger, they give it a negative connotation. They make it seem like this is a person that's really out there, when in fact, there's so much benefit that comes from hugging that tree. We should all be running out and grabbing the nearest tree if we could, just simply because we know what it does for us. And what I do know about that is it's kind of an associated thing with the idea of grounding. So if you go outside, you take your shoes off, you put your feet on the ground, you begin to shed positive ions. And the positive ions that are in your body are the ones that cause inflammation and cause dysfunction. So you're actually doing yourself a favor when you walk up and you put your arms around the tree. Many people don't really know about those magical things that happen in nature. The fact that the trees have root systems, and trees can be male and female, and they talk to each other. And to a certain extent, they are capable of movement that we are not aware of. It's just when you look at nature and the way the human being functions within nature, and you look at the complexity of the human being. I mean, you were there to witness the presentation that Dr. Moore gave. Yes. And he was looking at the brain, and he showed us the image of the eye of Heru and how it had a direct relationship to the way the brain is constructed. And then you'd listen to Dr. Brown, and he's talking about all the different systems that work within the body. We are such complicated entities.
Yes.
Without an awareness of how sophisticated we are. The fact that we're electric beings, that we have electricity in our body. This just illustrates why it's so important for us to know who we are, to know what we are, to know how we function, and to do the things that can optimize the way we function. And I think Tai Chi and Qigong and yoga and meditation, all of those things are things that we can do to maximize the way we function on Earth. And also so that we don't have to live lives that are filled with pain and dysfunction. When you look around, you see so many folks who look like they're just broken down. We age and we're using canes and we're using walkers and so forth. But what I've discovered, Be Free? It is that people who practice things like Qigong and Tai Chi and yoga, those types of things, as they age, they just age so gracefully. Their movement is not as restricted as folks who have diets that have things within it that cause degeneration in the body and cause things to start breaking down, and so you're 80 years old and it's just hard to get up the steps. And then you can see another person who practices Tai Chi and Qigong, and they're just bouncing up the steps. It's just so important for us to know.
Right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, since we'll come back and talk a little bit more about this, but I want to talk about some of how we eat.
Okay.
We'll talk a little bit about that connection to the Tai Chi and yoga and the Qigong.
Okay, let's do that. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about the importance of food, talk about your lifestyle, and how you can optimize your health. This is 95.9 FM WOVU, Burton Bell Carr Community Radio. I'm Vince Robinson. This is Open Door with Vince Robinson, and my guest is Be Free. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Tammy Payton, the CEO and founder of Pillars to Success Incorporated. You are listening to 95.9 FM WOVU, Our Voices United, Burton Bell Carr Community Radio.
Welcome back to Open Door with Vince Robinson. My guest is Be Free, and he's going to tell us some of the things that we can ingest to optimize our health in conjunction with practicing things like Tai Chi, Qigong.
Well, some of the stuff I'm going to just be reminding people of already. We all need reminders, myself included, every now and then. You want to do a lot of, some people, you want to control your breath. I teach soft breathing because I call it soft breath. It's just imagining you have a feather beneath your nose, and as you breathe in and out, you're not moving the feather. It sounds simple, and it is, but it's a little bit difficult because you got to think about it. And people want to say, well, am I doing it perfect? Am I doing it excellent? If you're just thinking about softening your breath, you're doing it right. Then you got the deep breathing, which helps, okay, relax you more. Then you got the breathing where you can hold your breath on both ends of breathing in and out. Just for instance, then you can breathe out of one nostril, breathe out of the other nostril. It's many, many different ways for you to breathe and reconstruct the way you think and feel. Since we talk about what we are, we're actually spirits captivated in the body. That's what we are. We have these titles as Vince or Be Free. Those are just titles or identifiers for us in the society we live in. But actually what we are is spirits having a physical experience. People hear it all the time, but try to live like that. You will change the way your dynamic of your life. If you say, I'm a spirit and not that person that people say that we are. To get back to eating, after you want to do a little meditation or control your breath, you want to think about fresh water, fresh spring water, as you can, as much as possible. People talk about alkaline water. Alkaline water is fine. I'm not against that. But you can alkaline the water in many different ways. You don't have to go out and buy alkaline water. You can alkaline the water with cucumbers, alkaline the waters with lemons, okay, for instance. You can alkaline the water with baking soda, okay. These things are just real. Look them up. Anything that you hear on the program, do your due diligence. Check it out. See if it's real. Check our tongue. And then what you want to do is you want to be a vegetarian because we got this long and gated
digestive system.
Digestive system. And we don't have a straight system where food will just go straight through us. We don't have those carnivorous teeth where we can bite the food and then certain juices come out of our teeth to do that. We're supposed to chew the food up as thoroughly as possible, and then swallow it, and that your digestive processes take its course.
Yes, it is definitely a difference between the way we operate and the way animals operate. That was also explained to us during the lecture that we listened to, how a dog, for instance, has a very short digestive tract. It has teeth that are designed for tearing the flesh off of the bone or the animal. And then their digestive juices actually do the rest of the work, whereas we are designed with teeth that are for gnashing and grinding. So we masticate the food, and then as it goes through the digestive process, we extract the nutrients that allow our bodies to function optimally. But the real issue is that the food that we're eating, it lacks nutrition. You mentioned water, specifically spring water, and you said that you can alkalize the water by using things like cucumbers or lemons or other things, so that you don't necessarily have to buy, $3 a gallon alkaline water. But you also mentioned the fact that, after you get that massage, it's important to hydrate. So talk about the importance of hydration.
Well, I'll give you an example. I got a son. He's 33 now. He plays soccer. And when he was younger, about 10 or 11 years old, I asked someone about hydration. And this person told me that if you play soccer, the day before you play soccer, if you're going to do a tournament, like you're going to play 2 or 3 games or 4 games in the 2 days, he says you should hydrate your body. People don't talk about hydrating your body before you work out. So I took his words to mine, and I gave my son a glass of water every hour the day before. This is what happened. He played the soccer game, and there's a young man that played with him. And they played 2 games to one day, and on Sunday, the other young man literally could not move, Vince. He could not move. His body had stiffened up. This is about a 10, 11-year-old child. So I know from that example that hydration is very, very important. And actually, hydration gives you more flexibility. It's good for digestion. Mm-hmm. People talking about you want to lose weight, but drink more water. Well, guess what? You can't drink so much water. I hope I don't step on nobody's toes, but you got too much meat in your system. It takes 3 days to digest a hamburger, so they tell me. So try to drink. Now what they say now, if you weigh 100 pounds, you should drink 50 ounces of water. So whatever weight you weigh, you should drink half of your body weight. But that's very, very hard. But the common sense will tell you, if you know that your body is 70% plus water, how much water should you drink? 70% that goes in your mouth should be water.
Yes. Excuse me. Getting back to diet, and you're talking about, perhaps eliminating meat. I became familiar with this idea of eating based on your blood type, and it was stated, and what I witnessed was that the original people have a particular blood type, and as a result, the original people might be able to eat a certain amount of meat, but the thing about it is we overconsume meat. Just because of recommendations that we've been given by the USDA, because they have an interest in selling animals. And because of that, they want to tell you to eat as much as you can and eat 3 times a day so that you support the folks who are, growing animals. But it's not really necessary to have that much meat in the diet. So meat might be necessary for some, but it's not necessary for everyone, and it's not necessary in the amounts that are consumed.
That's right. Now that you mentioned that, Dr. James Brown mentioned yesterday, there are 7 regions called blue regions throughout the nation, and
or the world.
In the world,
yeah.
And these regions, everyone lives to be over 100 years old. He said all of the regions except for 2 are actually vegetarian, and the ones that do eat meat only eat 4 ounces of meat every 2 weeks, did he say?
Yeah, it was not every day for sure. It was, it was like maybe 4 or 5 times a month, or if that, but not a lot.
Right. It is documented, all the things we say, and you could check it, and I say consider the reference ones that you use to get your information. But we're just not meant to eat meat. It's just a fact. And it's divine, actually. It's divine. Right. You can check it in different religions. Christianity has it in the Bible. Many, many places that, fruit, berries, legumes, peanut nuts are good for you, and you shouldn't eat meat. It says it many times throughout the book.
Mm-hmm. There's a brother, his name, I think, is Yaki, and he's basically a fruitarian. I mean, his diet is primarily fruit with some vegetables, but he had a really interesting way of looking at it, and he was just looking at the physiology of humans as compared to the physiology of other animals, and he talked about the similarities between human beings and the gorillas, and he would say that a human being has hands, so we could reach up into the tree and pluck the banana or pluck the apple or pluck the orange or whatever, pluck the fruit from the tree. But he talked about how other animals don't have an ability to do that, and then if you look at the physiology of a gorilla, that's one of the strongest animals on the planet, and it has a plant-based diet. So people have this mistaken notion that, you have to eat copious amounts of meat in order to have enough protein to grow muscle in order to be strong. But at the other end of the spectrum, you have animals like the gorilla, you have elephant, you have hippopotami, rhinoceri, all these great big animals that don't eat other animals, that they eat exclusively plants. So this whole idea that we have to eat all this meat is just it's a mistaken notion. And the other thing is that what I have learned, and perhaps you could correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the reasons that we have such a great extent of disease and dysfunction is because we consume too much protein. And again, that comes back to that idea of you got to eat 3 times a day, and you got to drink a glass of milk at every meal, and all these other things that bring animals into our bodies that are foreign to us. And then, as was pointed out during the lectures, a lot of these animals that we feed on are given hormones, they're given antibiotics and all those other things to enable them to grow faster, to bigger proportions, to survive the disease that happens. For instance, a cow eating corn instead of grass, the cow gets sick because its digestive system wasn't meant to digest corn. So when the cow gets sick, they give the cow antibiotics so that it can continue to live and grow to an enormous proportion so that they get more for that cow when they sell it at the marketplace. And then we eat the cow that ate all that crazy stuff, and then it affects us. And the next thing you know, folks are sitting in the hospital saying, "Doc, I don't feel good. What's wrong?"
Yeah, but then you just said crazy, and then we be acting crazy too, because what you consume, it affects you.
Right.
And there's another thing we learned is that even though like animals that like lions or whatever might run after zebras or gazelles, they don't eat the legs, they don't eat the head, they eat the stomach. They actually are vegetarians too. We just don't realize it because they're eating what the gazelle and the zebra ate, which is vegetation.
Mm-hmm. Well, they also eat the organs, like the liver. The liver is extremely, I guess, crucial for that animal to eat for whatever reason.
Sure.
And then you have folks like trying to think. There was a holistic doctor, Jennifer Daniels, I believe is her name, and she talked about being vegan and then going back to eating liver. So she was an advocate for eating liver, but who knows, maybe she had that original blood type that is okay.
Yeah, it is.
Yes. So we have just a few more moments left, and I know you wanted to get to mentioning some of the places that folks can connect with you and take advantage of some of the services that you provide. So do you want to mention them?
Absolutely. Again, the phone number is 216-272-1190. You can contact me for any of the particular modalities or activities I'm involved in. I'll start off with the Carnegie Wilson Committee. We're giving an African ball June 25th at the Mediterranean. I'm going to mention Tai Chi, which I'm doing up at the Willowwood Community Center on Tuesday mornings from 10:15 to 11:15. I have private students also. Then I'm going to mention the Invisible Tongues group that I'm involved in. If you're interested in anything that we do, go to invisibletongues.com. We have many selections on there for you, such as Star People, Fast Lane, and I want to mention the massage area that I do my massage in, which is at Strand Salon at 242 East Garfield in Aurora, Ohio. Come out and check us out. Anything you're interested in. And I don't know if I mentioned Grandmaster Greg Mayo at Northern Wind. We're at 8311 Superior Avenue. And if you want to come and then be involved in anything that I'm involved in, just give me a call again at 216-272-1190.
All right. His name is Be Free. He's giving you a lot to chew on. And if you have needs that are related to any of those things, I highly and strongly encourage you to reach out and take advantage of his wisdom, his knowledge, his expertise, and his compassion. Thanks for joining me on Open Door, brother.
Quite welcome, and thank you, brother. Be safe and wonderful in this wicked, wonderful world. What I tell people, it's a wicked, wonderful world.
All right. With that said, know yourself, love yourself, be yourself. Make today your best day. Peace.